Thank you so much for your support of HeavenEarth Church, and thanks for listening for a few minutes while I tell you about the awesome things that are happening that are growing our capacity for the next chapters of HeavenEarth Church. It starts right here. With this historic church that was built in 1904, it was formerly Whiteland United Methodist Church. Their story ended in 2019, a faithful story, and it's becoming the new beginning for a new church, HeavenEarth Church. The Indiana Conference of the United Methodist Church reached out and said, hey, are you interested in utilizing this? And I thought, no, because you know who we're trying to build relationships with, people who have struggled with this. But we started experimenting and realized God's doing something. There's an opportunity here. Fast forward, we created a separate 501c3 nonprofit called HeavenEarth Spaces Incorporated with a separate board of directors whose mission is to create affordable space for nonprofits and families. The reason we did that is because it allows us to turn this into a community center where not just our church gets to benefit from it, but other organizations like Resources of Hope, whose mission is to provide emotional and physical resources for foster care families. They needed space. Their mission was growing, and they found space here at an affordable rate. They've built out the lower level, and we've chipped in. HeavenEarth Spaces has, and it's an amazing space down there, and it's allowing their mission to not just continue, but to grow. It helps them, it helps the church, it helps the community. It's a win for everybody, and it allows us to also rent this house, which HeavenEarth Spaces also owns, helps us to rent that house at an affordable rate for the family who lives there. So again, it's a win for them, it's a win for us, and it grows capacity for HeavenEarth Church. We're doing small things that we think if you add them up will amount to much more. For example, this wing of the building that I'm walking through now was built in the 1950s. This was the education wing. We've been revamping it at a very low cost, but creating things like this. Our community coordinator, Ashley, revamped this room that was like a staff room for very little so that it could become a place for little ones and young families to have a place. Same thing down here. What you're about to see, Ashley did for $27. When we say we want to be grateful and responsible with what we're given, we mean it. I wish you could have seen this before. If I was really slick, I would have provided a before and after picture. So our church is not about the building. It never has been, it never will be. For example, we don't just use this room. There's a Friday night AA, Alcoholics Anonymous women's group that meets here. Girl Scouts will be meeting here tonight. But you also see the evidence right here of strategy work that we've been doing. We created a strategy team recently because we really wanted to be focused as we move forward. For example, we're working on a goal that we would have 50 committed students of Jesus by a date yet to be determined. We haven't determined it yet because we want to make sure it's reachable, that it's achievable. That's our focus moving forward. What I think is so cool about it is how we're continuing the legacy of people like this up here. That picture is from, I believe, 1921 after they had a revival. We're not out there, building something new. We're reviving something of old, where there was a lot of faith before, and it's like God is leading us to reignite something that was once so powerful here and in fact build on it. I remember being here in some of my first weeks in the community, praying, walking around, dreaming big. And some of those dreams have come to fruition because, God has done big things through our church. And yet, strangely, in the next chapters of our story, I realize our target is simple. We want to help people live like Jesus. We're aligning everything that we're doing in our groups. We're rebooting some things, our groups, our tiny churches, our recovery church,
our online gatherings on Sundays, our in-person gatherings, our community engagement, we're aligning it to that simple target. How are we helping people live like Jesus spiritually, for one? To grow in the things of the Spirit, the abundant life, the eternal kind of life that starts here now and lasts forever. We want to help people live like Jesus in that way. But we also want to help people live like Jesus practically, socially. Because if we're growing in doing the things that Jesus did and does, our community is going to be transformed for generations to come. I want to thank you again for how you've been a part of our story so far. In big ways and small, it's all made a difference. It's all made us what we are now. And I'm also asking you to pray about how you will be a part of our story going forward. Whether it's through a contribution yet this year, or a new involvement, or renewed involvement. Pray about it and step forward with us into this new chapter, this new era of Heaven Earth Church.